Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back and look at our notes that we drew the other day and some of those items that we put in our density column. So a couple items that we put, we had that candle, and if we remember where that candle fell, that candle was more dense than cooking oil, but it was more dense than cooking oil, but less dense than the water, and that was our candle. So go ahead and add in the candle. And we also had that marble, and if we remember, the marble sank all the way down to the bottom. It was more dense than the syrup. It sank to the bottom. So we're going to put the marble at the bottom. It was more dense than the syrup. The other item that we had was a little piece of pasta. If we remember the pasta, it was less dense than the syrup, but more dense than the water. So we're just going to draw a little piece there, looks like the pasta, and label that pasta. The other item that we put in is we put in a toothpick. And if we remember, the toothpick was up here above the cooking oil. It floated on top of the cooking oil. It was floating, and it was less dense than the cooking oil. That was our toothpick. The other item that we put in was we put in a little piece of a crayon. And that crayon, if we remember, it was in the same layer here as the pasta. It was more dense than the water, but less dense than the syrup. And so we're going to draw a little picture of a crayon here. And we'll label that crayon. There's one other item we put in. We put in the little red chip. And if we remember the little red chip, it floated and then it flattened out, and it was right here. It was more dense than the cooking oil, but less dense than the water, and it went right here. And that was the little red chip that we put in. So that helps us understand where all those items are. So now what I want you to do is practice saying that the marble is more dense than the corn syrup, or you could go in and say the pasta was less dense than the syrup. See how many statements you can come up with.